for me viewpoint, view the counter-interpreting with a grain of salt, self-serving reciprocity, key difference equal access about third, small schools, non-disclosure, helps big schools and more, Christian advantage, larger networks, and generate disclosure check to everyone on the same playing field, less small schools, more crowd, always your structural inequality, you'll say small schools, for A point, they can cut card off the wiki, better prep B point, no one traps, rental C point, no impact of the highest level debaters, do all their B point, Loyola is not as well, so we have 10 debaters, with multiple wikis, multiple coaches, now, voter fairness, voter availability, competitive activity, cards, objective evaluation, education, voter transient debate, job debate, all abuse, sorority, curl, life, trend, allocation, they'll show index, anything you do, just by severance, excuse my strategy, computing for one, reasonably praise race, mono, have fair practice, middle, fifth, I was set the best one, second, class use office, even term, reasonably, could be 50, authority, compute, term, saying reasonably, circle, no RBSA, 46 minutes, 200 is more than enough time to come free with theory, subset, which means that they don't need an RBIC, B point is, this is set of chilling time where bears is created, root theory, prep, counter, revolution, basis, shallow, with anything that shelter that speaks to total inability to gauge and prep. Next up, now framework. The inherency disadvantage can be like medical professionals prevent people forgetting they access care ability, sexual sexual value, humility, work space, and compared to the actual performance of the system, is going far below target levels, access basic health result, and premature death, asking a good tradable condition, residents receivably unlikely hospitalized for common conditions, socio-economic factors, status of nation for the vulnerable system, poor health, and shortage are here again, where we must act to risk decades of damage. AMC 340 US could face a project condition, shortage in the next decade. This year's report said prediction 2030 that report also includes analysis needs unserved population utilization, demonstrates the importance of healthcare workforce society for recruitment. Is your cause doctors don't come with their passment at all. 11 poor recruitment is likely to be a principal damaging shortages found in money public program efficiency shortage, health care delivery, found health professional shortage active defense to 2100 rules. The community unconsidered this. Community suffers from inability to recruit sufficient equal and full practical shortage. That's the plan resolve. The United States federal government should require doctors perform national service rule disadvantage community by working doctors prerequisite private practice panel 10 government employees given the same ministry of health authority right health employees in any part of the country will plus required private access to privacy and practically report are paid valuable side of business remote assignments receive housing and social except include great access to postgraduate training logistics and housing supported career role has been infrastructure now advantage one economy plans that factor the economy outweigh any spending that's the cost to pay just drop it in bucket NHSC today John 93 cost of paying national health service 1% 1 trillion economics for annual cost of health care 2-3 years of saving discouraging on a serious national trying to compare healthcare dollars to through more than offset costs and provide more serious well-being healthcare needs we must provide physician service and expand public health service national healthcare service great jobs directly and indirectly contribute to the economic growth of rural areas prior 06 president NHSC coalition rural areas 2480 health code prior to option jobs grid 340 million economic activity morally and rural states at 4889 healthcare jobs rural economy primary care collection grid 70% of all NHSC coalition 70% economic strong correlation between economy and weak part of empirics but you see that research found strong evidence growth of one strong ways to reduce 5-10% countries average income poverty rate 20-30% and steady 14 countries 1990 found that poverty fell in 11 countries significant growth at 3 countries at lower psychic growth advantage 2 shortage health workers more likely to go back to school to place by increasing access to schools rural community plans directly increase retention rate and low careers this massive 11 majority of young youngsters in urban areas place group that idea of going more to undeserved unappeal with the physician like to feel comfort transportation to understand research on medical students undeserved rural population place likely to choose a high income and educated parents planning carefully resolve worker shortage and least better criteria condition Puerto Rico first panel to 20% in rural areas the Puerto Rico before the service 16 had no physician after 78% one doctor instead of Lincoln Post serving increased willingness to work in rural areas better staffing levels shorter wage paid frequent visitor reported that narrative disparity urban rural health worker doesn't high turn ever rural community foundation's question of increasing social access along the player result panel 3 compulsory programs and instrument health equity that not geographic service in areas not also high turnover single areas of professionals not typically rural underdeveloped efficient turnover given service rather critical turnover high power better than no service at a competition express concerns about culture and contrary rights these conflate the human rights and preferences now framework ideal theory structure with question of the isolates the universal feature of age that normalizes singular experience and use ethical theory builds up 5 theorizing takes place in an intellectual realm framing perspectives express experience of privilege group everyone obscures cruciality ignoring oppression ignores the consequence if we can abstract moral agents with future autonomy to recognize people cognitively affected by social location descriptive concepts may be misleading the standard is resisting material inequality non-ideal theory that says any consequential instead of taking the rules all follow equal playing field it takes steps to correct material injustice consequential policy focus from first for one step probable scenario and also eventual consequence good pedagogy enhancing creativity deconstruct by feature absent skills Barbara 16 scenario analysis judgments current judgment two alternative self make features make you ability decision makes you imagine constrained by existing mental and cognitive bias scenarios help individuals break out of conventional modes of thinking inhibition and the right adapting something different from the present person to learn strategies fairly creative anticipating understanding international fair second understanding intricacy any policy is a prerequisite addressing any issues to say always any K Bryant 12 we need to answer the question most religious what makes anything say relying to play ideology and fight to say the defeat of the prey you're just trying to dismiss the point the supply lies war machine strategically interfering to destroy them we took your granted how horrible things are not simply ideology and oppressive social order to endure material range of people live changing social order revolves these third intemperate frameworks fail to have for oppressive institutions reflect only consequences matter 13 the people definitely criticism of oppressive action by making a quick question about their intent and what does intent matter for action further marginalization oppression the impact of our action far more important than intent making conversation about intent and ensure that you and your identity stay at the center with the impact around you marginal the impact conversation place the person turn in center unview first all theory arguments have a place to act like center the most empirical light empirics of Elam Rash and negative side about 15 elite Elam Rash negative 61% empirics over analytic side by side analytics are likely to be biased to by debater percent good empirics tell whole theory point empirics tell the assumption by analytics and tell them to comparing all the words to the point analytics are exacerbate this 1 is going to read 5 point gives hard to 4 point then time for 20 doesn't have enough time to the other second let's skip the second argument second negative defend usage of the same actors affirmative 8 point limits are infinite amount of possible actions they can defend grassroots organizations they can defend grassroots interface or any individual person or any other federal level program which means I never have the ability to engage with one too many things that I have to correct predict viewpoint is grad they can do an act that solves away the hard the person who's being racist or stopping racist which means I would have no net effect that could possibly extend their against their arguments for kid fairness equal exactly run when any specific argument. So also evaluate after you electropragmatic theory that 3-minute tour does not have enough time to cover both shells and against a 6-minute tour, which means that my shell epistemically attacks the ability for them to leverage their shelling in the first place preferred because Stroke's specific structure of white. Also final framing use on the disclosure debate. They disclosed their app, which means there's no possible excuse for not disclosing neg positions other than exacerbating neg side base. Vote them down.
Alright. Ready?
Yep.
Alright. First one, disclosure. When I came to you 25 minutes before the round, why didn't you just ask me?
Dude, I shouldn't have to ask you to disclose
Oh, yeah, I mean, I
things.
came to you though, and I asked you what the app is. You said no.
I
Why
said
didn't you
I
just
would.
ask me what the negative was? What those?
One, this entire conversation is unverifiable and doesn't prove it wouldn't be better to just disclose on your.
You can ask Goggin, right? He was there with me.
One, Scoggins not in this room. Two, that justifies 10 nibs. Oh wait, you should have told me before the round you don't want me to read 10 nibs. Obviously that's absurd, unverifiable, and ridiculous. We should stick to what you actually did, i.e. not disclosing. Either way, regardless of whether or not you would have done it, it's a bad practice and you should lose for it.
It's a bad practice for the, and do you like specify anything in like these standards of why it's like specifically bad for like the neg to not disclose and not the half?
I think every argument in there indicates that it's better for total engagement to disclose.
Okay, so and do you disclose?
Yes, I disclosed everything.
I before round, 30 minutes before round. You said I don't know what the app is going to be. You said you're going to message me.
I said I would tell you, and
Yeah,
then you're like, no, you don't want to know.
You said you would message me. Can you like give me a screenshot of like a message that you sent, and like we can get this over with, or?
The one, that's an entirely different theory argument, and two unverifiable. Three, I told you I would.
Unverifiable to see if you sent a message.
Unverifiable to see that I said I would message you. So you should probably just evaluate arguments.
You can ask Goggin. Like after the round is over, he'll come back in. And you can
ask your coach. Right, he's not gonna have any incentive to lie.
He's gonna lie so I can win like a doubles round like that. He does not really.
This is a bid round, you realize?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Whatever. I think Scoggin has some ethics, but okay. Let's go down to the inherency of like where is like any in your plan in your solvency app or your plan. Sorry, the plan like the pain 10 evidence. Where does it say national service anywhere in the evidence?
Where does it say national service? If you want me to read a card that explains why.
No, pain like specifically like your solvency advocate, or where does it say anything?
Pain. The article does mention national service. It's not.
Like where in that card specifically, right on the plan, does it mention national service? Talks about like rule of placement. Does it say national service anywhere?
I can control F quickly. I know that if you want to.
Okay, but that card doesn't say national service. Your solvency advocate doesn't have national service in it.
It does have national service in it.
Where does it say that?
In the non-underlined text, it talks about how Mozambique is able to declare because of this national service program.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
all right, let's go down to your.
I don't see how me reading the word national.
Did you extempt any like shells at the bottom? It was just like that one.
Yeah, I extempted. Neg must defend the same accuracy. Affirmative.
Yeah, neg, and then that was it. And then the Wayne, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let's go down. Let's go up. Sorry, to the UTS 13 evidence that. Okay, actually no. Let's go to the. So like econ and shortages, could you explain the more in the pain 3 evidence about why like shortages would even occur in the first place? Because I can't see a single place in this card where it would mention why. It talks about rural government, like rural. Like
which pain card?
The pain 3.
Okay, so the argument is that turnover exists like either way. Like most people don't stay in rural communities forever. So it's a question of whether or not we can get those workers. So this adds about like how the app decreases incentives to work in the place are non-unique and the app outweighs.
Okay, that's fine. I'm sorry. dubs V, M Chen, 3 off, and then case. Everyone get it?
1 second, I have to open it up.
Like as a counter interp on the theory debate, so I guess you can like float there, but it's kind of long, so you probably want to start a different float. Everyone good?
Yeah. Wait, yeah, I'm ready.
I'm not.
Oh,
Like,
do you want me to wait or?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
please.
Oh, I thought you said you should. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
That's fine.
Wait, so are you starting on the disclosure theory? Or
Yeah, starting like the counter interp on disclosure theory.
I'm good now.
Alright, ready?
Counter-debation rounds where the sides already determine the affirmative debater must disclose they want to see what they intend to read in the debate 30 minutes prior to the round unless it's new. Violation, I literally come to him before the round and he doesn't disclose it. You can ask anyone inside the room that was at the time. My coach was even with me. You can ask him after the round. Also, he doesn't want to disclose it in the, he doesn't want to disclose in the first place. So net benefits first. His education, one is evidence, quality disclosure, waste of public information, database for streamlines, case finding, and encourage debaters to find the best evidence on the top and nails 13. This was streamlined research. The book can provide the public body of knowledge that everyone can be officers and can look through different studies and choose the best from quality benefits. Increases across the board. Also, to incentivize research disclosure, also the debaters graphs to the balance of the opponent's position, which promotes each discussion. Nails 13. Debates with access to their opponents to continue more targeted research than the cut author and next to low with the risk of guarantee. They have the will agree side of a high of no one in those specifics while using the author. They have accessible evidence, just rights of base facts will have done among them will be accessibility. One is machine quality, full text disclosure puts everyone on the equal playing field, sharing the debates with few research and access to evidence, government on the expense of only databases, and choose prepper and large schools have the ability to come around to turn the fact that they have a large more connection on the circuit disclosure soft because everyone has the same intelligence. One is argument quality, our interpretation increases substantially, aid improves can happen into the peer review only system of disclosure reaction of the argument. The other team is making an opportunity to actually test over the time and one. Open source letting one to participate in the development Harvard professor providing the model to consolidate started level operation with release on students posting opinions on research on the public's website in order to help develop argument research on the U.S. copyright situation. I think he reads that the strong argument prevented with the large number of legal minds that work in the function when we lose in secrecy. We already getting depth of source and breadth of argument type. It's a project becoming increasingly more anyone can change and exploit it, but those have to be eventually built. The project comes in one and not everyone is project someone there is rabbit and continuing movement teams working in parallel. There will happen first building more something new work with teaming connected behind closed studies of a kind closer teamwork and see you have a monster on your side. Folks who do the best work when they're driven by a passion when they're having fun. The open source model gives people the opportunity to live with their passion. B is no secrecy. There is no incentive to hide bad arguments and weak arguments. We want Raymond 99. Plus, the complexity of communication of the project relying on the number of developers. Books law has been regarded as a truism, but with the process of open source development, falsifies behind it in truths and shops with developers on territory about their coding or the debaters to look for bugs and improvement happens dramatically faster. Those are methods strongly mitigates the effects of books law. C is deep level understand only open source encourages debaters to reflection about the form and the content of the arguments. Raymond 99. The only problem here is the mismatch between tester and developer. None of the problems also plugging the tester on the looking at side and developer on the inside looking out and closer to development or the both on side of the roles open source development. The breaks is might make it far easier for tester and development shared representation grounded. Able to communicate via the source code awareness by both parties. Locating enhance both communicate and synergy between what debaters supports and what the code developers. And fairness the goal is to find a better bet, not the better cheat. Those are the best. Fairness is coming on the balance to drop the FK. Also T first. The affirmative family must determine description. B is Cambridge. B is the definition. Cambridge English dictionary. This is the system in some countries where our young people, especially men, are originated by law to spend time in the armed forces. The Oxford Dictionary appear to compulsory service in the armed forces. Where the countries during some dictionary.com. National service now one compulsory national service. These dictionaries in particular show common usage. They are all the topic for the definition of what these are the most common uses of national service, and that should be referred to the as hyperbolic definition about farming that ignores most topic literature dictionary should be held. I'm sorry about doctors that ignores most topic literature dictionary should be held to the most highest authority in defining words and uses originally competing in interpretation of good. Perry, the dictionary should be used the concept authority in the settlement of all issues that rise regarding the English language. The dictionary is a compilation of information right to a specific AC, a standard speakability. These dictionary definitions are the most common uses of the resolution. That's the most able to shifting debate from between simple topic literature allows for hyperspecific definitions that can never be reasonably predicted. Only the common uses intended with the resolution allows for predictability and guarantees the ability for argument about the argument for critical because the education always also narrates medically without really how the blame the game becomes no contest and no longer worth playing this because no fun when the alchemist can be tradition when the real reality generate power of the game is to generation can experience it generates lots more parts of will get debate more your Travis now achieve the debaters will join B's lecture these one as they turn debate to a knowledge dialogue to a modeling big teacher we become the no taking passive recipients not able to question the particular word views talking tested on no real learning on mutual understanding necessarily solve the 180 times that happen and two is clash being the most particular late interpretation of the house for the very clash substantial layer beyond critical interpretation the resolution has substantial debate by choosing interpretation that's
most on top of literature and prep. Actually, because the topic education, we can't actually learn anything off the learning topic. These about education. One purpose is we do have to be over the competitive educational qualification will also be mighty fun and very shows that for this reason too. By the question vote for the better rater, who's better to find is more useful, which means you vote for my interpretation is the most beneficial knowledge. That's the round 3 prerequisite. Education why schools fund debate for educational schools will learn fun and all of the values that can be with blessed and fairness. Fairness to determine the better viewers can be done one as unfairness is always out to the debate because all the rounds already screwed. Answer now the flow just harms equally but not. The portion of violation of theories and issue could be interpreted. I don't know whether judging the reasonable and always have a risk of offense. In educational fairness, one internal link debate is always unfair based on skill education back to the because how big skills and education will help you become a better not bitch not run. And two is the ratio education is the most lasting debate impact. The skills and topic education how was the real rest might be fair. Has no impact on the right 30 prerequisite. Education must learn about topic theoretical algebra means if you're uncertain about voters. I have evidence on fairness and vote for the education because then determine all debate on even up the fairness yourself. And theories not unfair. One, fairness analysis vote and debaters who are being unfair, not debaters who are fair. Nor be simply the fallacy to identity just because of being by vote and doesn't mean fairness ought to be back to the base at the bottom. Good theory debaters will be more and more busy because they simply when RBS when they're being checked by theory that means more unfair in the future. And theory education, the delivers of the debate absent RBS so you can see that my bonus very one is to counter interpret spending less time on it with potential loss for me. However, Galileo which house rates were off to a good dimensional debate. And 2-4 if you be active the intro there's no business which you can gain from your original there's no violation there's no voting. If they get one of the counter interpret I didn't meet the counter interpret which means they can't generate things to the bona fides maintain genuine theory obviously centralized theories like all abuse as people will be more afraid of the collapse of the RV debate necessary theory will be avoiding countless abuse of the learner. I mean for 1 to 6 is fairness burden we all opinion partially burden to be fair and everyone there's no reason to reward let's take a day or be fairness wrong when everyone else will be fair not wanting and crime this at first crimes will now do with 16 crimes that's really low and makes all increase month to month year 2 but limited low noise and fluctuations violent crime was lower than has been 45 years and lower than has been most of 2000 for 20 30 40 and one description for its opportunity by delaying parts of crime market and training firearms usually said the violent crimes of your group Galileo 9 the result lesson as increase the likelihood of developing a criminal record firearm training received in military service bills the entry costs in the crime also they may have inserted the insertion of them into the labor market affecting future opportunities coefficient associated with military service price and aggression of property and white collar crimes are positive significant estimates they indicate a positive impact on military service arm right arm related crimes and consider also increase around the long run studies prove links to 16 these instrumental variables we find the contribution of increasable service kind of posing to advantage and the margin across in number of categories and violent crimes and thefts called the card thefts the IC software low crimes and critical sort of power fox swap software bank in the US continues to be seen on favorably abroad as natural border crime and finds to make a play to restore healthy democracy the average number of versus one health of American Trump is the biggest source of power by focusing on hard power to become collapse of 172 Trump's decision to move to the NCAO when the Harrison Committee and the manifestation on the budget submitted to Congress to be NATO I continue to see the US and nearly has an influence on through hybrid he's right the US and important sources of America will suffer top power collapse for proliferation terrorism failed state 707 some argue the US military domination is all that South power is not important but South power is invaluable the South power also moves to take humility for global leadership and to share the international security South power is good for addressing what security threats in the US faces cut the Cardiff faces also announce disclosure first it's literally turning the entire case you don't disclose that scholar anyone who was in your room and all your teammates when we first came to ask you if you have any doubt I came in and asked you said you messaged me you don't do that so practicing bad disclosure method and you saying this is called wiki doesn't solve I came on to you you should have just said if you asked me you this would easily solve you just asked me to disclose but obviously you don't so that turns all of your standards on quality engagement you said the quality engagement but turn you don't even disclose disclosing after the prior question doing so in order to have engagement in the first week the app needs to be able to engage with like I can't have a good argument and engage without disclose that and also in your reciprocal argument it's not reciprocal because you don't even disclose in your small school argument you're a big school you can't be saying advocating for small school when you do it and also after affirmative disclosure is key because actually in order to have the fair and educational round to begin with the app has need to disclose so the neg can have a reasonable chance to engage and it all your voters you can extend the voters as to why you would prefer the app interpretation if I win the debate and you have to drop the AC case. Also, on your AC level debate, you say that on your paint and evidence, it doesn't mention national service at all. It further examples how it's non-topical. Also, you're trying to give evidence about economy, they talk about national health service like Obamacare. That's not the point that you're trying to do. Yeah.
Alright.
Hold on, let me just my battery's fell out.
Alright, everyone ready?
Yeah.
Alright. Okay. So this app is on the wiki, and I've disclosed 3 total apps. Why couldn't you have just prepped this one? Also,
No, it's saying like basically the interpret's like it's specifically bad for you to fight.
So let's get this straight. You don't disclose anything, and you think it's totally unfair that I didn't tell you which app I was reading, given you haven't disclosed a single neg position.
The argument is that the app needs to like prepare specifically. If I come to you 30 minutes before round personally, and I ask you what
Can you verify you came to me 30 minutes before the round?
You can ask anyone. You can ask all your teammates that were in the room,
and
or you can ask
the judge should just vote on. You could have asked someone. What do you want them to do?
I
Go
mean,
out after the round, go up to Scott and be like, "Yo, hey, tell me if he asked."
The second he comes in the room, why don't you ask him? I mean, that would settle the theory debate very easily.
Actually, let's talk about this show. This evidence is all specific to putting stuff on the wiki. Where is any of this specific to what I tell you which app that is read?
Yeah, counterinterpretation, like on the
Your
standard level debate.
counterinterpretation.
On the standard level debate, I also said why it's important for you to disclose 30 minutes before the round, and why it's also important for you to tell me why.
Which arguments in this shell are specific to I have to tell you which app, given all 3 are full text on the wiki.
I said it's turned by the entire class into don't disclose, right? Because it's like specifically that it magnifies the abuse.
I'm asking about your standards in this shell.
I
not
said
on
it
case.
magnifies the abuse, right, in round. It acts as a magnifier of all the impacts of the 1 and C shell.
Okay, that's absurd. Moving on. Let's talk about this. Affirmative plan must defend conscription. So what does that mean? Like, I conscript people into saying they have
You
to
have to defend military conscription is what it says. 'Cause
Your
all
interp
three,
says
all
the
three of the definitions, all 3 definitions would
But
apply.
your interpretation only says the affirmative plan must defend conscription.
Yeah, conscription, and they define conscription as military service.
All right, wait, okay, these say that, the resolution doesn't use the word conscription. Why is this a good definition for the topic?
Because conscription is basically, those are all definitions of what national service is.
These
and
are
they all define prescription. What is conscription? Conscription is the
Oh,
military.
okay, these are definition national.
Those are
service.
definitions,
Okay.
yes. Those are 3
I
definitions.
misread that. Let's talk about this clash argument. You say debating the most predictable interpretation allows for the greatest clash. So the fact that we debate the same.
Not the same thing, the most predictable thing. Like, there are variations that you can do from that, but when you read an app that is blatantly not topical, it's
what's
not
the
predictable.
bright line for how predictable is enough
I
predictable?
mean, what's being used frequently in the status quo would probably be a clear example.
Let's
There are a
see-
lot more national
let's
service.
see,
There are a
this-
lot more national service apps that are going
That's
on.
not my question. My
Okay.
question is, what is the bright line for how predictable is enough? Westwood's reading this app, Ishan's reading this app, I've disclosed this app full text. What's
I mean, if you went on Disclosure Wiki and looked at every single other person that's running national service means military or Peace Corps or AmeriCorps or something similar about
so
military.
that's not answering
It
my
would-
question.
it would
What's the
immensely
bright line
outweigh.
for how many people is enough people?
How many people is enough people? I'm just saying when it's like frequently used, when like it's
What
like
that's not my what is frequent enough?
I don't know, like frequent
So you
enough
don't
would-
know
I mean,
how
frequent
much
enough
how
would, like,
good
it's
we have to
very
be on
clear,
your
like
side.
what a bright line.
All
would
right,
say.
let's talk about
But
this
easily
crime dissad.
predictable
Both
and
of these
not
let's talk about the crime dissad. Both of these links are specific to the military. The app doesn't defend the
If
military.
you're saying conscription in general would be bad, right?
It says
Because crime-
firearm.
it's basically
It's
the-
about
the warrant-
firearm training received
the
during
warrant,
the military
yeah,
service.
the warrant comes. That's only one of the warrants. The other warrants is when you take people away for 2 to 3 years. That economically forces them to commit crime.
All right, that was okay. Sorry, crap. All right, 110 order is, it's going to be case, just briefly case versus dissad, then disclosure on the AF, T, and then his shell. Sorry, his disclosure arguments, then like the first off, then T.
Okay, you're gonna need to do that entire thing over again.
Okay. Very briefly on substance with case versus disad, and then disclosure is shell. My disclosure stuff in the AF, then his like counter interp argument, then T.
So, your disclosure. So the disclosure. So case disclosure theory, and then T.
Case disad disclosure theory T.
Okay.
Wait, so it's half case first.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Hey, half case like disclosure half first, or
No,
like
substance
the
of
actual,
the
substance half. Okay.
Then everything that's new, I am flash.
Oh, okay. There's something that's new. Okay.
Oh shoot! I sent you the Valley Round 6 doc. My bad. My bad. Let me just resend. Sent the wrong doc. Everyone ready?
Just give me a second.
Okay, sure.
Is the one AR just at the bottom of the
Huh?
Is the one AR just at the bottom of
It's just what? Sorry, I can hear you.
Is the one AR just at the bottom of this one? Or
No, the one nearest to the top.
or the top?
No, I sent you the T stuff, just like the T card and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Just when everyone's ready, I'll start. John?
Yeah, I'm good.
Alright.
Shortages are coming out again with the AMC 843. Evidence that some of the disenfranchised communities are going to face massive structural violence. Only the plan is able to resolve. That's the entire conceded second advantage of violence. Letting purely resolve worker shortages of pain. Although 3 evidence, which means that we are able to solve a massive amount of internally disalways and all of the disad arguments of strengthening positions. Straight conceded now that it's had proper. The disad's ridiculous. Same point. It's supposed to be the military conscription. All the evidence about the military, where the office of the plan is not defending the military, which means that the other evidence has no internal data. And across the evidence, just a question of the fact that people are moved out of the area. But obviously, that's a very small percentage of the population. We're only moving doctors out of the area, which means that it's just a drop in the bucket of that's which means the case definitely outweighs there is no bring for how much soft power is necessary to trigger any other impact issue. You probably don't vote on the evidence at the very least. That obviously doesn't link to that about the military. Now the after they've conceded that half theory is valid. You can lexically prior to that theory because 6 minute to the 3 minute 2 area has to have the ability to clock. So one shuffle is a 6 minute. You're gonna just spread that out, which means you should value my disclosure shuffle for any other argument that was completely conceded on the one see. Also, if the theory debate is messy and all, you should just follow substance because I'm about crushing him here there now. Extend the interpretation that the negative was disclosed. All position violation was conceded in the last piece. Our only argument is that I don't disclose the half. I have several problems with one. You cannot verify that and not tell them what the half was. There's no screenshots, nothing verifiable. 6 high control all theory. You have to be able to tell in the first place. Second, obviously, even if that's not true, you have no right to why. I should obviously not have to disclose the apps to you. If I disclose all of my apps on the wiki full text when you don't even disclose a single line position, which means that argument makes absolutely no sense. Starts though you've conceded apps like out of the one interview, which means that for me it's hard as the fact that you get to write big prep outs and destroy the one front lines when you don't even disclose your own things. Would probably outweigh now. You've conceded the entirety of the standard argument about how disclosure is key to quality engagement. Also, all their counter-interpreting arguments are reasons why disclosure is good and are reasons why disclosure is good in general, which means that it supercharges my interpretation. That the negative should be forced to disclose on the wiki. Their only argument that is that they would have disclosed on the wiki if they had. However, no unverifiable. There's no verifying way you would have disclosed on the wiki. Second, does not mean my interpretation specifically like you have to disclose right after round. So even if I wasn't screwed, a lot other people would have been screwed over. Would have been screwed over first. Like third, this justifies infinite use. Justifies if I read Nibs bad. You said, hey, if you told me before the round you didn't want me to read Nibs, I would have read Nibs, which means this obviously doesn't solve. You say it's not reciprocal because I didn't disclose. Obviously, it is completely reciprocal. I don't tell you the app. If I have disclosed everything on my wiki, you don't disclose a single thing, which means the entirety of shell is functionally conceded. You can vote disclosure now theory. There's shell. Counter-interpretation, counter-interpreting with the plank of they disclose nothing on the neg wiki and the affirmative. All my affirmatives disclose full text that solves you. There's 3 apps. Obviously, I'm going to pick one. I'm probably not going to pick a whole rest after the bid round, which means you can probably just pick between 2 apps, which definitely solves the vast majority of apps. And that better one for us property data. Disclose their neg position. I shouldn't have to tell them exactly what after because I would be pigeonholed. I would be pigeonholed into specific prep. I'd be complete sitting at words. I have no idea what kind of strategy or debate they're going to be, which always all of your offense and magnitude because it proves a complete structural inability constituency. You can see that flexibly. Now the limelight overview to their interpretation. All these arguments are reasons why disclosure is good. None of them say that disclosing before the after round is good. Cross it was embarrassing that this they just said, well, look at the app page. Obviously, that means that nothing in their actual shell was actually specific at all, which means I solve 100% of often by disclosing I get all their deep research and accessibility arguments, which means they just factually have no access to any sort of self-analysis. Counter-interpretation, confidence interpret with the blank if I have a solvency affidavit that mentions national service and plans disclosed on wiki solves abuse. There's only like several different apps, and this cross-ex proves national service is independent of all card 12 card. You can control if it just because it was title doesn't mean it's not there now. Benefit topic is literally services say agencies like Sienna, CP, of course, the United Certified Medical Service, National Service, NHSC, NHC, retail different people limited professional as for the national service growing primary care workforce, critical need, essential core literature standards, arguments between issues to win the rest of not job guarantee. Have to talk let you get to read it. So several interpreting if you cannot win if minus C also second amendment is depth. My interpreting force in-depth discussion because we have to research multiple different branches literature rather than focusing on one legitimate branch of literature, which means we're more likely to get in-depth education, learn about specific issues that turns all your classroom because you get better class on your now over you to interpret in one. So you have to check to be predicted. Obviously, write about second check to be the literature previous literature you can write answers. There's plenty of arguments about turnover, for example, that line on your these all are just definition of national service. There's no reason that however my arguments that good is good enough. There's multiple legitimate interpretations of the topic, which means you have something that specificity. They just say that God dictionary there's comedies. However, the biggest question why comedies they read this paragraph that says dictionary. It's a concentratory one turn that's a horribly exclusion. You should probably just listen to what a white liberal section did. Second, the question of how predictable is enough predictable to get the standard. Now the predictable argument. This is completely arbitrary. Continue cross-examination. I have met plenty of plain studies. Not giving you specific guideline for how in the literature is enough literature, which means you should probably discard it. Second turn they're interpreting instead of forcing me to read one half, which leads the whole stale debate where they can just link turn their entire argument. They say we get greater clash over clash. Obviously, it's old. We have to have some flexibility, especially when we disclose.
Okay, I think I like 56 or
Yeah, something like that.
something like that. Alright, order is his disclosure, and then like a little overview on mine, and then a little bit on case. Good? Okay, cool.
So, after disclosure, your shell case.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Good.
By your shell, you mean your disclosure shell, correct?
Yeah, mine.
Okay, got it.
Alright, everyone good?
It's game over on disclosure level debate. You literally can see how I turned the entire case into you don't disclose any. You could ask anyone that was in the room at the time. You just try to say it's unverifiable, but again, there were multiple people that you could ask that would obviously enter. They would always have some sort of honor and integrity around and would say that yes, I did. I can come on before you round. You don't make any arguments as to why me coming before you to round. Also, you can see that me coming before you round. You could have asked me 25 minutes before in round. That actually magnifies that abuse in round because I came to you before and you could have asked me, but since I asked you specifically, I actually had the opportunity. You had the opportunity to tell me yes or no. You would have disclosed, and you had the opportunity to ask me if I would have disclosed in the first place. But again, you don't do that. I literally give you the opportunity to tell me to disclose. You don't give me the opportunity to tell you what I was going to run in the neg or what I have run in the neg. I do. That means that the half abuse would outweigh negative abuse on this round. And also, you could have asked anyone that was in the round. I came and asked you. You said you messaged me as well. Though there's a failed burden there. You literally said they would message me what the case would be. Just stop practicing bad disclosure. Like, you don't make any arguments as to why. Like, if you how messaging is like non-verifiable, but again, it is easily verifiable. You could just include a screenshot as to why it's literally just being you're just practicing bad disclosure. That you literally have 8 versions of your app on the case. There's obviously you can prepare every single one 25 minutes before the round starts. Also, you can see the disclosure on the week. It doesn't matter if you have like 8 apps. I don't know which one you're gonna read. Both of them have season were based on in-round abuse. The only one that wasn't red was the Disa, but you could have asked any of my 3 neg opponents what it was. I only ran that Disa and twice of them, and 2 of them I couldn't possibly have prepped you out. There's no way you said that in the civil policy is not verifiable, but again, it's easily verifiable. You can literally ask. There were at least 9 people that were in the round, and some of them would have said that I clearly asked. You could have asked Colin, he's here right now, and he wouldn't just lie because it's a bit wrong. He really doesn't care because I'm a sophomore, and also there's no right to why disclose. Like all Fs are disclosed regardless. Like literally, there's like there's no right to why disclose. All Fs are going to be disclosed. You said all Fs are going to be disclosed regardless. But again, there's 9 copies of the F. I can't prep out every single one. I don't know which version you're going to use and the nuances to each one because some of them have different interviews. Like one of them when you against Nico had a anti-blackness interview, and other of them had policy making interviews. They're literally, I don't know which one you're going to run. Anyways, and there's still 3 of them. I can't write big prep out to them. If I come to you 25 minutes before and you have 3 Fs, and that's the best case scenario, that's around 8 minutes per F. And if I work at maximum efficiency and don't take any breaks whatsoever, also, you can see that you say you can see why F disclosure is uniquely key, and that turns all your arguments. That's an independent reason to affirm because quality engagement is key. Because if you disclosing the F is the prior question to doing any neg prep, because in order to have engagement in the first place, the F needs to be able to engage with and have a good argument and have good engagement in round education without a disclosed F. Like literally, we're not gonna be able to have any of the disclosure factors. So accessing all of the F impacts of the why disclosure was good. Disclosure of the F would be a required question. So even if you don't buy my t-shirt, you would buy the turns on my case. Literally, too many conceded turns that he makes. He only makes mitigatory defensive arguments about how it's not verifiable. But again, if I literally ask him and he doesn't show me a message that he sent about how he's going to disclose, when he verbally says that he's going to disclose, that should be a reason why he should drop him independently. You should also extend drop the debater voters, and as to why he should lose this round. And that also means that you affirm on face there and onto the on his counterization on my disclosure shell. He just means a counterization about how affirm his article is not going to be a whole F based on, but you can't evaluate this layer. At worst, at best, you would just drop this layer of the shell. He has gain no offense whatsoever on this because he doesn't read any reason why he should get an RBI, and even if he read any reason why the argument is dropped to the debater. Also, so that means you would just drop the F case because it's super abusive. Anyways, also on the case level debate, he concedes that it doesn't mention national service anywhere on the case, and Payne 10 would make, even if he says Control F, he should have tagged. I don't have the burden to go look in every single line of your chest and make sure that you clearly have a solvency advocate. You should have just underlined it's easily solvable, so it doesn't mention national service anywhere in there. It's a further example of how it's non-T that literally links hard into the T show. You just try to say that it's in there, but again, your counter-attribution is functional and is dependent on the fact that you have tagged your national service card. Just because it says it somewhere in the article doesn't mean that it says it in your solvency advocate text. And you also talk about national service, like essentially you can see that the plan would never solve because it's not talking about national service. You're talking about conscription of people into some sort of function, but again, that's not national health service. Those are 2 completely different things that encompass different types of events. Also, first onto the military T again. You can see why dictionaries need to be used for dictionary show to the common usage, and the Perry evidence why dictionaries are the highest authority that can be found any of your counter-attribution and any evidence you read, because the dictionaries are the most key to having some predictability around. You read a counter-attribution that if I have a solvency, but again, that's predicated on the fact that your solvency advocate actually says something about national service, but again, it literally doesn't. It might say like the service for the nation, but that doesn't mean it's actually national service. You should have checked. Again, I don't have the burden to actually look at that. You say the national service is all in it. That doesn't mean it's not there. You just have this topic education argument, again, predictability controls the internal link to having actually key topical education. Is very clear on this resolution that whoever made it intended for there to be some sort of military burden, or at least including some sort of military burden to begin with. Not doctors. It's very clear that this is like a completely non-topical app. And also you say that you can extend the competitive equity argument that nobody wants to do debate in the first place. That serves as a pre-VR reason to affirm on the T-shell, and that means that you have to also on the clash argument. He concedes that clashing shows internally to education and fairness. So any way that you look at the T level of debate, I'm going to be winning because clash makes the debating the most predictable arguments would allow for the most clash in round. So the way the round breaks down is 1, he concedes too many turns on his disclosure shell that it's very easily verifiable if you actually came to me, and all of this would have been resolved if you just told me. And also I didn't have the option to actually disclose to you. You actually did have the option to tell me what app you were going to run. I didn't. So that means that at worst you shouldn't evaluate this ledger shell, and at best you would just drop the debater right there on face, because it's very clear that he's just being a shady debater by not to go when I come to him 25 minutes before. He concedes too many turns on that level of debate, and he also concedes that app disclosure is a prior question. So even if you don't violate any of the layers, he concedes why the app disclosure is uniquely key to have engaged in any of the quality engagement reciprocity arguments or the small schools argument, because it serves as a prior question. That's my firm.
110.
Oh, negate, sorry. My bad.
110 remaining. Starting. All right, order is going to be briefly substance, then briefly substance and extensions of like some underview stuff. Overview to like the entire disclosure debate because that was like kind of messy, just like on both pages. Then T.
So where do you want the overview split?
The overview to disclosure,
Okay,
just
yeah.
flow that like on like the
Oh, this one.
yeah. I'll address T at the very end. Everyone good? Okay.
Substance still goes affirmative. They conceded that the plan is key to solve doctor shortages, and as that was completely conceded on the 1A, or their only argument. They extended defense to get the econ advantage. However, obviously it's not a reason to vote for them on substance, especially because I don't go for the econ advantage. My argument is that the plan is key to resolving doctor shortages, the pain evidence. So obviously they have not responded to those arguments. So you have conceded that if the theory debate is muddled at all, either there's a lot of offense, you can just vote substance on strength. Like that was argument made the 1A or the conceded, which means you vote half on substance on your ballot right now. The disclosure debate, overview of the disclosure debate. Here's several problems with the 2R. The 2R relies a lot on the argument why after disclosure is key. They don't go for the counter interpretation. However, they debate it 1-on-1 means that they still have to answer the counter interpretation. All the counter interpretation offense on their disclosure shall reason I don't have to disclose exactly what the app is. I don't have to disclose what the app is, which means nothing the 2R said was responsive on the issue. So go to their shell first. Extend the reciprocity and Affleck's arguments that they've conceded that there's already affirmative side by side that the affirmative is way too hard to affirm right now. In some schools, if they got to know exactly what the app was before the round, I would get prepped out. So I would get prepped out really badly, especially because they don't disclose any of their net prep, which also means like interpretation is key to reciprocity. If they don't disclose any of their net prep, it's pretty reasonable for me to not tell them the app before the round, especially when there's only 3 apps disclosed on my wiki, which is 100% conceded always on strength and leak. Independent reason that none of his app disclosure arguments necessarily apply. Also, the second framing issue is conceded that every single argument that he read on his disclosure shell is just a reason that disclosure is good, not necessarily a reason I have to tell them exactly what app I read alongside disclose the full text on wiki, which tells 100% of you because you get no offense on the disclosure debate, so no offense on the disclosure debate on that. They didn't have later now go to the app flow. They've conceded they still conceded that they should probably disclose their positions. They only have they've got a couple different arguments here, but the entire disclosure shell why is heated engagement is completely conceded. There's several different arguments. They say that app disclosure is prior. However, A point they've conceded that affirming is harder, which means that you should probably give the heavy label on this. B point they've conceded my interpretation still solves the vast majority of these. They still could have disclosed those arguments in the first place, which means it definitely solves the C point. There's no reason that you need disclosing different, but it doesn't mean you couldn't have disclosed rounds from other positions. The other argument they go for is the second argument going for the verifiability side constraint debate. They just keep saying it is verifiable because you would ask Scott, and obviously this asking Scott is not a good test for what something is verified. We cannot verify that you could ask me those arguments, which means that side constraint on theory they just asserted, which means that at the very least it should be heavy skepticism voting this argument. The third argument they say is you could have asked me, how would they concede that's not verifiable either. They've also conceded the separate response to this argument that's a bad norm for debate. That would justify me reading 10 a prioris and then after you read a shell on me, you could have asked me for the round. Obviously, it's still a question. It's not competing interpretation. It's a question what you justify, which means you still disclose on your wiki. That's still not better under a theory debate model, especially when you've read arguments. Probably disclosure on the wiki uniquely is a good thing in your own shell, which means that you vote after the disclosure debate, or you can see that after theory comes first. So now I'm still good with the T, so they can vote on disclosure. Even then, you should not vote on T in the first place. They just extend their dictionaries first. However, they don't actually extend the dictionary definition. If you do not hear the words extend the definition, you probably not vote on the argument, which means they don't have a definition internally in the dictionary. They extend my topic educate the NSCS, the evidence they literally like CMCS for the science, medical service, national service, which means I definitely have a topical belief since they've conceded all the reason why my interpretation solves the abuse if it's disclosed and it'll solve the there's only a few different apps, which means that it solves the vast majority of your offense on this flow. Also, you can see the response to the dictionary definition. That's as far as why I just said there begs the question. They have no bright line for what is predictable enough, which means they don't get access to any of the argument. They just extend it through each. They've also conceded the depth argument that I made that my plan allows more in-depthly research the literature. They've conceded this link turns their clash argument because we get clash on multiple different flows, which means that the T debate is very clear. Like the T debate was pretty messy, but they just like didn't really extend offense. And then disclosure shell is a face crush. Vote on substance too, because he conceded that.
to both debaters, making it double octas of the 2017 Mid-America Cup. It's a 3-0 for the AF.
This debate made me really sad. Yeah, y'all know
Really
that.
bad.
Like, just no. Y'all can give decisions. I just want to make that comment first. This makes me sad.
I'll go first. Like Sienna, I also thought this was a really bad round. It was also just a really confusing round in general. There were so many things I was just confused about why one of you was doing. I think the easiest way for me to resolve the round would have been the lexical priority argument the AF goes for in the 1AR, but that argument, first, the lexical priority implication isn't actually in the AAC, and second, you didn't extend it in the 2AR. So I'm not sure why you extended it as lexical in the 1AR, because that would have been a much stronger implication for you in that situation.
I accepted the AF.
Oh, you extended it to the AF?
Yeah.
Yeah, I caught it in the app. I caught, you know. So.
Okay, so that could you won anyway. But if I had caught that,
Oh,
that
yeah.
would have made it much easier.
Oh, fair
I think that it's pretty clear that the AF is winning the show in the AAC. There's a conceded response to the utility of pre-round checks, the infinite abuse argument, and I'm also just heavily inclined paradigmatically against arguments about verifiability with third parties. I'm skeptical of disclosure theory in the best of times. That was really going to stretch it when you didn't really have a explanation of how exactly it would be verifiable. That means that given that you pick your shell, it was kind of connected to that shell, I thought your only out was really T. The T debate's pretty muddled. There is offense on both sides that's extended. I think best case scenario for this, even if you're winning all the T flow, there's no weighing between the shells except for the ones for what Matthew did, in which case I would go AF because of side bias.
Yeah, so like if you're just asking me in a vacuum, which would I prefer? A world in which the neg discloses nothing but forces the app to disclose before the round, like something, versus a world, you know, like that sort of comparison. Like I'm just inclined to default app, especially since I think Matt's correct that all of your sort of standards on disclosure were only offense for wiki disclosure, and like the only offense you extended for like pre-round like oral disclosure was like extended into an R without like much of an impact or like impact calculus done. I'm just inclined to like take the easy way out and just vote on after it comes first. I count that extended at the bottom of the case in the disclosure theory stuff, and so or substance because the T debate was awful. We did not want to resolve that. So yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want to look at the theory or at the disclosure theory stuff, but I ended up deciding that that there's probably a better norm if you can at least verify. That's probably the argument, but I was given the or you were like, no, you can weigh the substance if it gets like too messy, and that's what I chose to do because in my paradigm I'm very explicit about like this just isn't the type of debate I'm good at like evaluating. So I just voted on like substance. I don't think T was clear. Like there was a clear enough abuse story on T for me to feel like I shouldn't vote out on substance.
Good. So, just like general questions, in terms of like redoing the 2AR strategy, do you think like the main thing would have just been like more cleanly weighing and extending offense on T? Alright, I was just like sort of meddling it, but I get what you mean.
Well, like I also thought you should have done like a bit more impact calc. So like assume the worst version of the next counter jump on disclosure, like where you don't tell before the round, and just like why you still end.
Okay.
And that makes it a lot cleaner to evaluate.
Alright, that makes sense. Thanks.
Generally, when you're